Raise Up really is this touchstone of how we are going to operate within the organization, and that's responsibility, accountability, integrity, service, engage, understanding, and perseverance. And if you're doing anything that's worth doing, there's going to be a season of perseverance. And if you're working with a team, you have to be able to seek understanding. And we have to have some level of engagement or stuff's just not going to get done. And having a service mindset is really what the whole story is about. And this was at no fault to anyone that worked there. It was literally everybody was just trying to figure it out. And when I came in, I just looked at it differently. I looked at it like, okay, well, we need to do the right thing here. Like, well, what is the right thing? Well, the right thing is treating the customer right, treating the team member right, making sure the company is taken care of. And it seemed so simple to me. And I just started plugging away at what I knew was right in my own mind. And I remember I worked on the Raise Up core values for about 2 years. Every morning, I would take a little bit of time and like you, probably not every single morning, but I do a lot of studying in the morning alone. And so I always had like a little corner in my journal. What else could it be? And it just, one morning it just came to me. I had scribbles after acronym words. And I'm like, that's it. And I basically told Charlie, and he was like, okay, that sounds nice. Good job. But I don't think he expected me to push it to the levels that I have. And then when I came up with our team goals, our daily team goals, I remember going to him that morning and I was like, hey, I just want to let you know BAC's mascot is going to be a goat. And he's like, no, it's not. How is that even anything of substantial? Like, that's not a mascot. Like, we're not going to be a goat. And that was before Greatest of All Time was even cool. It was just, it just absolutely made sense. If we met our mission of, or if we met our goals of great customer service, on-time pickups, accurate documentation, and team spirit, like we were going to be killing it every single day in every department. And it made total sense to me. And so now you'll see on our walls when you come into BAC, you'll see the Raise Up logo. And then there's this like very nostalgic goat, like raising up in the middle of the logo. And I'm really proud of that. Like that has been the heartbeat of our business. And I joke with the team when we first came up with it, the whole scheme, that I want to be able to call you at 2:00 in the morning and wake you out of a dead sleep, and you be able to tell me what Raise Up and Go mean.
Yeah. And they can.
And they can. Yes, they can. I'm convinced that, with the exception of the newbies still getting their sea legs, yeah.
So full disclosure, I just looked over at the screen and I didn't push record when we first started. So we've only been recording. I feel so stupid right now. When they walked out, I thought they said okay. It was ready, it was recording.
So let's do a retake then.
Let's do a retake for everybody. I know okay. We're trying.
So let's start. Just start from the beginning then, and we'll just kind of.
Yeah. So
I have time.
Athena Grimm, thanks for coming on again. We had Charlie on a couple weeks ago, and he had some great stories and had, I just wanted to tie this up with you coming in and sort of answering the questions he can't and giving a different perspective
sure.
on BAC Transportation, Alaska Medical Transport, and the other associated businesses and how you kind of got to where you guys are today. So if you could just start by, maybe talking a little bit about the beginning of how BAC started, Charlie's story about flying down to Vegas and, wheeling and dealing with the limo sales guy was great. And maybe you could fill us in on a little bit about how you saw it.
Well, BAC Limousine and Bus Services was started by Brent Sanders and Charlie Grimm. And Charlie and I were together. I wasn't part of the business initially. I was running my own business, and we were dating at the time, and so it was something that it was going to be a side hustle. And his main business was commercial groundskeeping and snow removal and all of that. And so I just thought, okay, well, this is going to be something interesting. Over the years, we've started little pilot things that we thought might take off, and either did or didn't. And we made some money at it, or we decided to cut our loss.
Okay, so this was a year. He was already in. You guys were already doing entrepreneurial.
Yes.
Little
yes.
endeavors.
So I was 20, just 21 when I started my first. I went off on my own and started my own business, and got out of the W-2 world. Excuse me.
You just pull the mic a little closer to you. There you go.
So he comes up with these ideas that just make me laugh sometimes. And some of them literally I'll just laugh and laugh and laugh, because I make a joke with him now that I try to make a solid 20% or a solid profit on 20% of his good ideas. And so some of them are just, I remember one day he called me, and it was when the limo business and the bus and crew transportation, everything that we were doing with BAC Transportation was going. And he left an auction and he goes, "Hey, I got something. We're going to start a shoe shining business." And I just broke out laughing. And I was like, he goes, "Why are you laughing? It's going to be great. We're going to put it downstairs in the airport, and they're going to pitch to concierge. They're going to sell bus tickets to the hotel. It's going to be great." And I couldn't believe it that I was, I don't know what's going on with my voice here.
Go ahead. None of this is live.
Yeah, that's what happens when this is live. So it just cracks me up, because he's got these great ideas. And really what I bring to the picture is organization and this sense of staying on purpose. And I make a joke with the team that we're never going to detail planes. No matter how much airport work we do, that's not what our core
We're not taking
business.
on that core contract.
Yeah, it's absolutely. And I guess maybe not never. I suppose if there was something that happened and we got a phone call from one of our airline clients that said, "Hey, we're in a desperate pinch and we need 10 people to help us clean this plane," we would absolutely go over there and help them clean that plane.
Yeah.
It just wouldn't be part of our core business. It would be helping out our partner, our friend, our customer. So yes, I've had lots of those little things happen over the years. And I remember some other ventures that we've done is the mobile ad trucks that never really seemed to take off here locally, but it was big in the lower 48. And we've done.
Those are the trucks. I've seen the truck. It looks like a box
turn.
truck,
Mm-hmm.
but it has a sign on it that turns and has different advertisements on it. It looks like there's a rolling billboard, essentially.
Yeah. Basically.
Yeah.
These days now there's screens, but back in the day that tri picture where you could get 3 pictures on one side was, a big deal.
You guys still have that, right?
We do actually have those trucks. Not really doing anything with them. That's the thing, is that I have a hard time with. We have no problems acquiring things, but making suggestions on maybe we should get that to a new home.
How you transitioned out of it, basically. Yes. It's like you tried it and then you just move on to the next thing.
I move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
Although Charlie, on the other hand, he kind of likes to hold on to stuff, see what happens.
How many, if you can disclose it, how many pieces of equipment do you guys own?
Over 180, which we really don't need that many. He's promising me that some are going to go to auction.
Yeah, how many are in operation? Like 120?
Probably something around there.
Yeah.
We have a lot of stuff.
You guys
including 2 fire trucks, which I'm surprised.
Oh, you guys have fire trucks too?
We have a 180-foot aerial ladder truck.
What?
And we have an engine.
Is this thing operational?
Yes. They haven't been ran in a while, but they were running and doing their thing.
Wow.
Yeah, just because Charlie wants to have some, and he wants to have some apparatus.
So you guys have, let's go over it. You have 5 or 6 coach buses?
We have 7.
7 coach buses.
Mhm.
You just got 2 new ones, so I knew it was 5. So 7 coach buses. What else?
We have a ton of vans. We've got all kinds of different bus sizes, cutaways, limos, the SUVs. We don't run sedans in our fleet, which kind of makes us unique.
Yeah, you guys have the Wagoneers. Those are a newer.
Love
part
the
of
Wagoneer
Wagoneers are
product.
nice.
Love the Wagoneer product.
Yeah.
Yes, we've transitioned out of Yukons, and we do have some Suburbans, but yes, I'm really loving the Wagoneer product. It is just beautiful inside. Customers are happy with it. I really think that Jeep and Chrysler and Dodge, the whole they just really stepped it up in that SUV.
Yeah, those are great. And then you have 3 limo buses, just right?
So currently we're running a limo van. We have the newest limo that
The
just
Sprinter
arrived.
van limo.
Yep, and then we have the new Suburban limo that we
Yep.
just built that's now
That
in
thing's
service.
awesome.
And then we have one limo bus that's in service right now. The other ones have been taken out of service.
Okay. And your main business is your airport contracts, correct?
I would say that our main business is corporate.
Corporate.
We do
Yeah.
retail. That's why we still have
Yeah.
limos and
A lot of the retail stuff is weddings,
night on the town.
night out in the town, party
Birthdays.
bus
Yep.
stuff,
Yep.
birthdays, trips out to Double Muskie.
Yep.
Yeah, but that's probably 20% of your business now.
We do that for the community.
Yeah, and
Most-
that's how you guys started, though.
Yes, we started in retail.
In
100%.
retail, yeah.
Yep, was just handling those in the night on the town, and then as we built more relationships, our clients would come to us and say, "Hey, we need help with this. Are you guys willing to get into this corner?" And really, my lane is transportation. So as long as we were doing transportation and logistics, it made sense because the current systems and procedures that we have in place transfer over, whether you're transferring a bag, a person, or an item.
Yeah.
And
yeah. You guys do the lost baggage.
we do. Yep, we do. It's usually not lost. It's just on a different aircraft.
Yes.
Because of whatever reason. So
late baggage.
It's very rare that I see that something's like gone forever. But yes, we do
Deliveries.
delayed baggage deliveries.
Deliveries,
what
yeah.
they like to call it.
And then the wheelchair support at the
Yes.
airport as well. So you're
Yep.
doing wheelchair pickups and drop-offs for individuals at gates.
Yes, and that corner of the business is probably one of my favorites because we are guiding young people. We can hire as young as 16,
Mm-hmm.
and they're in a safe area. They're allowed to be in the secured area, which is where everyone else needs to get a boarding pass to get through, and it's serving people. One of the things that we always discuss in every department meeting is what was something good that happened to you in the last 7 days, and those particular team members almost always share something about work. Like, I was able to help this person, or she was sad, and I'll hear some stuff that maybe might have almost should have been an incident report. Like, I caught somebody before they fell and lost their balance, and I'm like, she caught a grown man? Like, this little young girl caught this grown man, but I've heard so many stories, and I see the purpose light up in their faces. And some of them, they're really struggling at home. I mean, I have teenagers, and sometimes the sky is falling for them even. And I just see the beacon of light that department. I mean, people think that these are just kids pushing wheelchairs, or these are just youth pushing wheelchairs and, making some money, but they're a family over there. They stick together. They do their best to learn what Raise Up actually means and how they can apply it to their life. And their leader over there, she very much understands her responsibility to raise up these team members to go on to be excellent employees somewhere else. We have very much, it's not a social service program by any means, but we do things that other family members would do for you. Like, I remember one phone call one afternoon. I I think maybe the manager on duty phone rolled to me or something, and we call them an access ambassadors, which by the way is another unique thing about the wheelchair crew. Everywhere else in the nation, they're called SSR agents, special service request agents. But I wanted them to think that by having this title, that they're not only giving access to people who need help that could be vulnerable, but they're also ambassadors to the city and the state.
And for your brand.
And for our brand, but I wasn't really thinking about our brand so much.
I mean, they're ambassadors.
I put them in a uniform, and that's what I expect them to have, a clean, nice uniform as the brand representative. But really, I wanted them to think about they're an ambassador, and that's a big responsibility. And what does an ambassador look like? If you're the first person that somebody sees, and sometimes the last person that they see when they're leaving our state, so that was the whole mindset around that. But I remember that phone call that I had gotten from that ambassador, and he told me that he was kicked out of his house. His uniform was in the house that he needed to get. And it wasn't a thing of his parents kicked him out or something like that. It was some kind of eviction or something crisis unexpected was going on. And I was like, do you have an adult with you? And he said, no. Do I need to drive over there and help you walk through this? And the question was like there was this long pause, I can't believe she's asking me if I need help. I was completely willing. I know what it's like to be young and to feel like you don't have a voice and that there's nobody standing up for you. So that's something that any one of our members of leadership would do at any time for any team member. And I think that is also part of the Raise Up culture, is that we are walking the walk and we're talking the talk and we're showing up in areas that they don't always expect. And I think Charlie probably touched on that. You'll catch him washing a bus sometimes.
Wow, I've heard of wowing your customers, but wowing your employees, I think that's an amazing concept, because if not for those people, you wouldn't have a business. So those are actually the first people you need to take care of.
Well, and I preach it like this. We have external customers and we have internal customers. And so when you're looking at it departmentally, I mean, dispatch's customers are the drivers.
Yeah.
They need to be making sure that the drivers are taken care of and that they're doing the customer service that they need to, because they're supporting the driving team and doing their absolute best. So we're providing great customer service to our internal customers. What does that look like? And, for the young people at the airport, their customer just isn't the individual that they're pushing in the wheelchair. Their external customer is also our airline client. And what does that look like to provide great customer service to them? Well, it's make their job easier. Be where you're supposed to be at the time you're supposed to be, things like that. So it's really this shift of, okay, well, yeah, we're taking care of all these other customers, but who is our internal customer? And you guys are helping me with the video to explain that more intentionally to them. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yes. And so you guys went from dabbling in a lot of different things in businesses and being entrepreneurs and trying a lot of different things and having a lot of ideas, some good, some not so good, with the shoe shining thing from Charlie.
That never was a thing. He did buy the shoe shining thing.
Oh, he
did.
It was in
our garage for a couple of years,
geez.
And then I sold it on Craigslist.
Oh, geez.
Back when Craigslist was still cool. So.
But from dabbling, it's a great story, because from dabbling as two kind of entrepreneurial minded people to having a company with 200 employees and having this kind of growth, it just speaks so much to what you were just talking about, the culture, the relationships, how you take care of people. I'm really impressed with that. And it's not just BAC Transportation anymore. Now you guys have another company called Alaska Medical Transport. What does that company do, and how does that kind of align with what you guys are already doing?
So back in the day, Charlie and I were on a volunteer fire department, and I realized it wasn't something that was really my thing, but I quickly realized that if I didn't join him in that venture, that I wasn't going to see him on the weekends anymore because he had decided he wanted to do this. And so I stepped into that area, and I was able to learn a lot about EMS and being on the ambulance and being in active fires. And it did give me a little bit of a window into why he likes some of the things around that realm. And it also gave me this compassion for first responders to understand really what it is that they can go through at times. And I am big in supporting community, and this was absolutely something that, I mean, Girdwood was the fire department, and it was, I mean, technically it's part of the municipality, so
Yeah.
it was supporting our community. And
This would be for BAC, or this was during the
so
beginning
BAC
of
was
BAC?
a side hustle.
Yeah,
so
BAC was a side hustle.
We've always had side hustles, and BAC was just one of them.
Then this was back in 2000.
So this was 2004-ish in there.
Early 2000s.
Yeah, early 2000s. And
you're getting this experience as an EMT and as a volunteer firefighter at Girdwood.
Yep, I had joined, I had taken my EMT 1, and I had achieved that level. And then fast forward a couple more years to my second child. I delivered December of 2007, and I had gone through the EMT2 class, and I had made it just almost up to the point. But once, I think I did my last run in November on the ambulance, being like 8.5 or 9 months pregnant, something like that.
Oh my God.
And I was like, yeah, I think I'm going to tap out. And then once I had a baby, I had pretty much sunsetted my fire department career there. That hobby was over, and now I was figuring out what I'm going to do with this other little one. And
the BAC, transportation.
And so
it's always something that's been kind of in the back of your guys' mind, and definitely Charlie was thinking about this.
Charlie, I think he has something that I've grown to understand is that first responders, this isn't a job for them. This is an intrinsic calling on their life. And so that's it. And it's evident in his life that this is just a calling to serve and help people. And working around the ambulance crew now and just seeing, sometimes you know that you're supposed to be here, but you don't know what you're supposed to do yet. And we see that sometimes where we've got people that are very young that are just figuring it out. They've got their EMT 1, and so now we have an opportunity to bring in the raise up core values in their life, and to also kind of walk alongside them to raise up their training. It is, of course I want people to stay and to learn more and grow with the company, but I want people to do what they want to do. I want them to achieve what they want to achieve. And if I can be a part of that building block that gets them to the next phase in their life, that's exactly the spot that I'm called to be in. And so when somebody is making a transition, we're still cheering them on. And you'll see that a lot in the EMS world. There's a lot of moving transitions that happen where people join this position. And I think that part of that could be that there needs to be a lot of variety, because there's a lot of downtime at that job and just kind of waiting for the call to come on. And so one of the things that really was instilled in my heart when we started the ambulance service, because we were doing wheelchair transportation for many years before we had decided that we were going to pull the wheelchair business away from BAC.
Got it. It was already sort of growing and something you guys were already doing.
Yep.
Transporting people in wheelchairs. Now let's transition it into a private ambulance company.
Yep. So that's non-emergency medical is what that's called, the wheelchair side. And so then when we decided to go full-blown ALS, BLS ambulance and figure out how to get licensed and what all the regs were, I naturally just sectioned that off, and that AMT became its own entity at that point. And it really, now it's not just running a private ambulance service and seeing how much money we can make at it, because it takes time to get stuff like this off the ground, and it's a pretty big investment to get the equipment that you need that's right for the team. They're gone are the days of the hand lever gurney, like you have expensive power lift systems that hopefully prevent injuries.
Yes. And you guys have 7 ambulances now? Is that, you just brought up 2 more, correct?
We have several. We did just buy 2 more. 3 of them, I don't think we're going. I think 3 of them we're gonna. I think I've convinced Charlie that we're gonna sell those. But I think yes, we are at I think 8 now. We actively are running 2, but we're looking at other opportunities that are coming up that make sense for us.
Okay.
So yes. So really, AMT's purpose isn't too much different from BAC's. We want to raise up the EMS community. And what I saw being on the Girdwood Fire Department was that different areas of the state, they didn't have the training available, and they didn't have the trainers that would travel to their areas. And so there was a lack of training that happened in just other areas. And so it's like, how can we lift up EMS training?
Yeah.
How can we help set standards for EMS that would allow the people to come to a place, learn, and then go back to their community and teach them what they've learned and explain to them what these standards that make sense in. And so that was really kind of what sparked the whole, like, it wasn't just let's start a private ambulance service. It's like, okay, well, if we're going to do this thing, then we're going to do this thing for everybody.
Yeah, because you guys provide classes,
Yes.
EMT certification programs as a part of your business as well. And it's free for people to attend, or do you guys charge?
So we don't try to compete with the other companies that are offering this. And so there is a charge, but usually it's a fraction of the cost that it would be.
Got it. So you're truly trying to raise these people up.
And we're looking to have other people from other communities come in, stay with us for some time, understand what interfacility transports are, understand the standards around it, take that back, experience some of the training. We have lots of training avenues, online and in-person training. And so that's really what the last 2 years has been about. We just celebrated our 2nd anniversary with the ambulance service in August. And I just finished the training room that we built.
I visited that. It's unreal. It's such a cool addition to an already unreal facility that you guys took. Basically, kind of a shithole. You know, it wasn't that great.
Go easy now.
Well, I mean, when I first went over there, I was like, you guys bought this place? And now, like, I see it and I'm like, oh my gosh, the vision is great. I mean, it's beautiful and it's really come into life. And I didn't see it when I first went over there, but I obviously, I've known you guys for long enough to know, like, this is going to be awesome, but I just didn't know exactly how. But it's definitely come to fruition for you guys. Are you pretty happy with the new facility?
I am very happy with it. It is really, when we first saw it, I don't think that I convinced Charlie that this was perfect for what we were looking for. But then, I mean, he kind of rolled with me on it, and he tends to roll with me on design because of course, I've got other side hustles. So real estate is another side hustle of mine, I guess you could kind of say.
Oh yeah, interior design goes along with that.
Yeah.
Right?
So normally he's just like, I will tease him sometimes because he stopped asking me if he could pick the paint colors, and then he's like, why don't you ever ask me about paint colors and stuff? I'm like, are you an interior designer? And I'm like, I'm not either, but man, some of the stuff, like he'll put touches on it, like he wanted little LED lights in the stairs and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, that sounds cool. Let's do that,
And so do you see yourself growing out of that facility anytime soon? Or it seems like the parking lot's full all of a sudden, the warehouse is, busting at the seams. I mean, is it
I would say,
is this a permanent location for you guys?
This is a permanent location for a while.
Okay.
We have the ambulance headquarters there. They've got their own bay. We've got the shop pretty much organized.
You get the workout room, the training room.
Yeah, so the training room, the gym, that's something that, I've got some posters and stuff I want to still get on the wall, but yes, we're going to properly be kicking that off. And that's something else about BAC is HR's tasked with a wellness plan. Like, what's the wellness program that we're going to encourage everybody to use our gym that we have upstairs now that's going to be totally free for employees?
What a cool
and that
benefit.
That branched off of the EMTs just asking, hey, can we get a treadmill or something? Because man, like hanging out the whole afternoon and then we get
need to
like
move.
we need to move around. And so that was another thing of, yeah, we can do that for you. That makes total sense.
Yeah.
Like a treadmill is, but now it's like a full gym.
Now it's a
weights
full
and
gym. I was going to say,
workouts.
like, I want to come over there and
Well, and
get
of
my
course-
workout in.
And of course, I'm like, I want everybody who is able to do it safely to have the ability to take advantage of that if they're focused on elevating their health and strength. So
That's fantastic.
I'm always big on nobody can be a favorite. Everybody has to be treated equally to some degree.
Sure. So from these kind of fun ideas, side projects to this behemoth of BAC Transportation, and then Alaska Medical Transport came on maybe 4 years ago.
So AMT celebrated its second year in August.
It's only been 2 years.
So ambulance is only 2 years old, and then wheelchair is like a decade old.
Yeah. So the transition was over time. So you've gone through all these things, going from just Charlie and his business partner driving the cars to now 200 plus employees all over the place, lots of clients, contracts. How do you keep it all sort of from overwhelming you? How do you talk about your own self-care and how you kind of keep yourself grounded, and how you just stay focused and positive?
So something that we kind of spoke about in our little chat prior to the podcast was that it's really important, I believe, to be stacking positive things into your day, because you never know what's going to happen, especially when you have that many humans in between a transaction or a logistics move. And we have the good fortune of being able to violate custom laws and hit aircrafts, and like all kinds of stuff could happen, just, you never know. And I'm not, thankfully, we have been great with our processes that we've avoided some of the suffering that others have gone through. But
you can't plan these negative things.
It's just
tragedies that happen.
Somebody isn't thinking at that time, and they're like, "We're sorry." Yeah. But it's kind of the reason why you don't let the 10-year-old put the baby on their shoulders, because they'll drop the baby and they'll be sorry, but the baby will be hurt. Yes. So it's like there's a lot of ensuring certain stages and making sure that we're checking and supporting people where they need to be. But you just don't ever know what's going to happen. And so I make sure that I'm stacking. And one of those things, can be super simple. Accomplishing something for the morning. Make your bed. Like that's something positive. Some people, they don't agree with that. They're like, I'm just going to mess it up when I get home. And I'm like, okay, well, you know what? I like my bed neat. And that's one thing. And then the next thing is, what are you allowing into your head in the morning that's setting the tone for the rest of the day? And I will spend oftentimes in Pep Talk for 10 minutes. Pep Talk is an app that you can download, and it has 10 minutes of motivational speaking or whatever it is. They've got a bunch of topics. And it literally sits in your notification screen, so you can just tap play in the morning. I do a great deal of studying in the morning. So I take this time alone to kind of reflect internally, and then
stack the positive.
And I stack the positive. Yeah. So if you've got a solid, one of the books that I read, they were talking about how many there was this theory of how many positives you need to stack to counteract this many negatives. But if you stack too many of these positives, then you're in unicorn rainbow world and you don't want to be in there. And it's like, just don't let all that bug you. Just go out and do a few positive things. Focus on being centered yourself so that you can go out to the team and be the example and kind of the calm in the storm.
And when these fires come up and negative things happen, and you can deal with it in a way that doesn't spiral you into a negative sort of realm where you're just like crazy and yelling at everybody and super negative.
Well, and I never see any members of leadership spiraling like that.
Yeah.
And I think that the team that we have now, they understand that we're here to serve. Like, that's our role. Like, my role is meetings and service, making sure the finances are straight, and culture. That's really my bigger role here. Because at the end of it, if you don't have a foundation to stand on, then you're wavering. You don't understand, like, what should I do? It's like, it's really obvious. Like, this is this.
Serve.
Yeah.
Like, simplify it to the point where there's no confusion.
Yeah.
It's very much about serving people.
Yes. And that servant leadership rings true to every member of the leadership team. And so it's not as challenging as it used to be, because they're all on board. Mm-hmm. They all understand. And so being around people like that is another way to stack the positive, because they're not melting down, because they get it. They get, hey, and a lot of them are seasoned. They know that this guy's not actually falling. It was just a mistake.
Yep.
And I really like the fact that you can not get it right every single time at BAC, and it's okay. And there's some people that come to us and they kind of have a twitch because their previous employer yelled at them, or they didn't give them the opportunity to make some decisions on their own, and then maybe
make some mistakes.
It's and I don't ever really look at it as mistakes. I look at it as unintended outcomes. So what are we going to do to keep that outcome from happening again?
I love that reframing.
Yes.
It speaks to the education, the learning, the gaining knowledge side of what people think about mistakes or failing is really just a process of.
It is, if you think about it. It's just, how are you, and if it's not okay to learn and to make a mistake or to have an unintended outcome, then how is anybody going to ever really grow?
How are we doing here? Yeah.
So, focusing in on that growth mindset too is something that I'm a maniac about. Growing. Neural pathways.
New neural pathways.
Yep.
I love
and
it.
So one of the things that we do as a team, as a leadership team, is I engage everybody in the latest book study. And the one that we have right now going on is really challenging some of them. And
what is it?
It's called the Untethered
Heart?
Untethered Heart, or Untethered Soul. I think it's Untethered
Untethered Soul.
Is it Soul?
It is. Yeah. My daughter just read that a couple months ago. She was just enthralled with it.
Really?
It's very spiritual, right? But without being religious necessarily.
Yes. Well, the whole idea is about this mindset that you have, and this voice in your head. Which isn't you. No.
It's a voice.
It's not you. And so just the idea, some of the takes that different people are getting from it, it's just, but that's the goal, is it's like, we're not just doing leadership. We're doing self-work, and it's in a trusted space where we can all, like, honestly say, actually, this is what I got out of this section of the book. Yeah. And I'm like, wow, I didn't even see that. What I saw was this. And they're like, and then some of them are like, now the voice won't stop talking. I didn't even think about the voice until I read this book, and it's like, wow.
That's interesting.
I know, but I'm just, I'm really proud of them, because I will come up with some crazy learning opportunities, and they're just like, all right, let's try it.
Cool. That's awesome. Yeah, that's a part of your culture is
yes.
Education, learning, and personal development, not just professional development.
Yes. It's about,
because personal development in the end tends to make you a better manager, supervisor, a better employee, because you're better at dealing with people. Because when it comes down to it, we're all just humans dealing with other human beings, and that's it. That's what business is.
That's really it. Is that how can I show up more present? How can I show up more whole? How can I show up in a way that I'm actually supporting and serving this person? And what do they need to hear from me in this moment right now? And that's really what we do at BAC over and over and over every single day. And we happen to, like I said, get people from point A to point B.
Yeah,
almost 100% of the time. I did realize that when you scale up to a certain level, like we are at now, that there's so many things that happen in between that you have to start rolling with percentages, because no matter how hard you work, you'll drive yourself crazy if you're trying to hit 100% and that nothing will be better unless it's 100%. And that's kind of what you speak to about sometimes this is good enough and we have to give grace.
Yes.
So
I know that you utilize a lot of coaches, business coaches and such. What kind of coaching are you receiving now, and how has that helped you get to where you are?
So the funny thing is this year I'm not doing anything business related. At the beginning of the year, I sat down with my kids and we were talking about what are some of the goals that we want to achieve for this year. And we had a lot of discussion, but really out of that discussion came, I think that I want more peace and joy in my life. And so if that's true for me, then what are the steps that I need to do to make that happen? And not just like, oh, I had a great feeling this day. It's more like, how can I measure that over time? And so that is what my coach is working with me on this year is, what are the things that are bringing me joy? What are the things that are giving me peace? And what's that energy look like in my day? So am I getting depleted? Am I recharging? And so this particular person has been a great guide for me in that area. But there's been historically things that have, like accountability partners, where I'm super focused on my business and this is what I've got going on, and I need somebody that I can come to and go, okay, this is what I said I was going to do. Like, why aren't you doing that? Well, I don't know. Why do you think I'm not doing that? Well, because this, and this, and you're focusing on this too much, and just kind of laying it out for me. And but yeah, this year it was a little bit more introspective. Like I needed to get there.
I have a hard time sometimes in situations where maybe the conversation gets a little bit emotionally elevated, or it is an emotionally charged conversation, trying to recognize sort of the fact that it's not me. I don't need to internalize these things. But how do you deal with sort of recognizing those situations that bring you that joy and that peace versus some of this negative stuff that comes along? Like, how do you stop yourself from going down that rabbit hole of sort of like feeling that pity your stomach feeling about something, whether it's an employee conversation or personal even, and because those things really, those emotions really affect our ability to make good decisions sometimes and to have a real conversation because we're so charged. Do you have any, tips or just ways you deal with that?
I love that question. So I would say that one of the things that I do is I made a decision that I was going to remain open. Like that's the goal, is to remain open. And so then what can I do in those moments? I guess you have to kind of have a hyper focus on what's triggering you. And the first thing that you need to understand is, okay, this is a trigger for me. And it's just like we were taught when we were kids. Let's decide what the decision is going to be before the thing happens. Because honestly, there's the same trigger that happens over and over again. If we can recognize the pattern, then that's the first step, is recognizing that we're in this loop. And then what can I do to just put a little dribble in the water to change the outcome just a little bit. It doesn't have to be overnight and success and you're magnificent and you get it right every time. But it's really recognizing, okay, I did not like this about how I reacted.
So, or how it made me feel.
Or how it made me feel. Whether I reacted well and I was totally, able to navigate. It's sometimes I'll just say the mantra, I decided to stay open. Like I'm remaining open.
You tell yourself that
yes,
while
in
you're
my
in
mind.
this situation.
Yes,
stay open.
And so, and the point of it is that when we are closing, we know we're closing. If we're starting to get offended about something, or we're not in a place where we're able to learn from somebody, we can start to feel our heart closing.
Yep.
And so I'm reminding myself, I'm doing this now. This is what I'm doing.
It's a great tip. Stay open.
Yep.
What kind of things, since you've had this coach and been focusing on this joy, peace, positivity aspect, what have you eliminated from your life, if anything, small or big? Is there anything you can point at to say like, hey, I stopped doing this because it didn't fulfill this part of me?
There's so many things.
I know there's so many small things that happen throughout the day. That's why I'm asking the question, because I'm really curious. I'm trying to get to this place where I am better at recognizing those triggers, as you said, and helping to be more open in those situations and not close up and not be able to really think clearly to solve the problem and come up with viable solutions. And I'm just curious if there's anything you can point at that you did eliminate, or if not, no big deal. I know there's a lot of little stuff that you probably do that really just is hard to put into words.
Your life is your daily routine. And what you decide to do every day, like that's 80% of your life. Like you get up, you take a shower in the morning, you brush your teeth. Yeah. And it's like, I would say one thing that really comes to my mind is I mostly drink water all the time. Like I used to drink some tea. I even gave up tea. And it's just something that wasn't serving me. I mean, it was, I always bring this Stanley thermos with me everywhere I go. And probably, something interesting about me is I only drink warm beverages. I really like to just stay warm.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so thermos.
So what are you drinking?
I'm drinking warm water with a little bit of like flavoring.
So you add flavoring, though,
Sometimes,
is what you were saying, is you stop just drinking plain water because...
No, I stopped drinking tea. I stopped. I haven't drank soda really for a long time.
It's just, it's not serving you.
It was something that I just realized that I don't need all that other stuff.
Yeah.
It's impacting my body in weird ways. And so, cutting back to just water is something that I felt was the best move for me. And so letting go of all of these other things. And then there's other food items that I realized weren't serving me. There are so many food items that people should not be eating that cause inflammation in their body. And it's really, we're grown-ups here. We need to investigate what those items are. And it's different for everybody.
It's different. Yeah.
Some people can eat peanuts. Some people can't. Some people, and really, so it's like, what is it that you're doing to make sure that everything that or at least taking out the things that are really knocking you down, get out of your system. And for me, bread, gluten was like one of them. Like, holy cow, that was something that I let go a while ago.
Yeah. And because it just doesn't serve you. It doesn't have any positive effect.
For me personally, it was causing me harm.
So I think a lot of people do have that same effect. They just they're not paying attention to it, or they don't do anything.
Well, and that's the thing, is that so everyone has these things about their daily routine that if they just stop doing something for let's say a week, and then
take
it back up, and see, do I feel better? Do I feel, and something else that I've been experimenting with is a consistent fasting.
I started fasting as well. That every day at 2. I eat from 2 to 8 is my feeding period.
I was working towards 11 to 7, and then I realized that the other humans in my family, they eat at 8:30 most of the time.
Okay. So
then I just kind of backed it down the trail a little bit. But yes, having that 8-hour window, and then just cutting out some of the other items. It's remarkable when you just make a few little changes and what that can do for you.
Yes, I know. I've had this same experience and the same results as you have. Just trying to find ways to optimize not just my work life and my relationships, but also my body and the way I process things. And because I think, your gut health is where a lot of your overall health starts, in terms of clarity and your brain function. And
brain fog is real.
Yeah, it's real. Yeah. Okay, we got to wrap this up. I did want to talk a little bit about where Charlie left off, because you talked already a lot about culture between your guys' employee backpack giveaway for school, back to school just happened. So you guys gave out, I think you said 110 backpacks with supplies, which is amazing for your employees. Raise Up, which is kind of a mantra that you guys use, or an acronym you guys use to describe how you treat every situation in your business. And then GOAT, which we talked a little bit about in the very beginning. But yeah, if you have anything else to add on the culture aspect, Charlie did kind of pass that off onto you. He said, if you want to talk about culture, that is Athena's thing. As you said before, culture exists whether business owners recognize it or not.
Yeah.
And whether somebody's driving the bus or train or not, the bus is moving forward. The train is either by intention or by design or not. And so, talk a little bit about just what the culture of your business, how that came about, and what some of your philosophies are.
I believe that we need each other. And how can you encompass this idea of doing the right thing? Like, how can you encapsulate, well, so many people have different ideas about doing the right thing. The right thing to you might be to serve you. The right thing to me might be to serve them. I mean, we just never know. Everybody comes from different backgrounds and different ethnicities, and BAC is an absolute melting pot. I think I think HR told me maybe like 80 nations,
wow.
Individuals from like 80 nations that work for us. Don't quote me on that though. But it's a lot.
Very diverse.
Yes.
It's a super diverse work, and
yes.
I testify to that for sure.
And so you really need to find common ground with these individuals, especially when you're working with a group that is all generations. I mean, we have people that, just span across so many generational types. And so Raise Up really is this touchstone of how we are going to operate within the organization. And that's responsibility, accountability, integrity, service, engage, understanding, and perseverance. And if you're doing anything that's worth doing, there's going to be a season of perseverance. And if you're working with a team, you have to be able to seek understanding. And we have to have some level of engagement, or stuff's just not going to get done. And having a service mindset is really what the whole story is about, is serving each other, serving the community, serving our customers, serving the industry. And, integrity piece is really important, because it's not just about being honest and not saying a lie. It's about being true to who you are. And I explain it like this. If you are a night person, don't apply for the day job. Like, just be true to who you are. Don't try that.
Yeah.
And then the accountability piece is really how we love people. Because if you don't have, even if you're raising your kid, if you don't hold them accountable to what's going on, then they're just all over the place.
Yes. And that is included in what you described as love. It's like,
yes.
Love
yes.
is holding somebody accountable. It's how we love you.
If we didn't care, we wouldn't do it.
Yes. That's amazing, because you see a lot of parents these days who do the opposite, who let their kids do whatever they want because they think that's what love is. But it's the exact opposite. It's holding people accountable.
And it's not holding people accountable with an iron fist. It's like, hey, let's talk about this, debrief you on this situation.
Sure.
Or how could we have handled that better? Or did you seek understanding with this person before you just decided that you were going to, come up with your own ideas around the situation? And so we do a lot of bridging between team members, especially new team members that come. And then the responsibility piece is that we all have our levels of responsibilities that we've got to carry out. And so to me, it took me some time to come up with that acronym, but really it just embodies everything that we are about, that I'm about in our organizations across the board in everything that we do.
That's awesome. So much to think about. I think you have, you have a business that I think most business owners should be looking at as something to follow, as is a beacon of sort of like, this is how you should run your business. It's about the people. It's about purpose. It's about raising people up. It's about educating people and helping them develop personally and professionally. I love your book club thing. Yeah, there's so many aspects of your business that I think any business owner could take and use in their own business and find that ability to build and to drive a culture that will fulfill them in a lot more ways than just money. I think that's a beautiful thing. And yeah, we didn't push record on the first half hour of our podcast. I forgot to push record, but I think we got a lot of the good stuff.
This was a great opportunity to kind of touch base with you again. So
yeah.
It's been a little while.
Yeah, you were doing a little coaching for us in the very beginning of Orange Slice, which, was a huge, huge help. I don't think even I didn't understand at the time how much that meant to our business and to me personally. And I appreciate it so much. And yeah, it's been an unbelievable ride so far, and just thank you so much for sticking with us and helping Orange Slice. And I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys do, Charlie and you. I know you guys are going on a little trip down south, potentially with the family.
We're having another Grimm adventure.
Yeah, Grimm adventure. But this is all part of your joy and peace and love and the kids and getting those those days and weeks with your family that we don't do enough of, right? We don't get enough of those times in because we're so obsessed with our business. There's so much to be done. I did want to get your opinion on, I don't know if you can eat these, but I was at Trader Joe's.
I love Trader Joe's.
And they have, they have the best snacks. We aren't affiliated with Trader Joe's quite yet. They're not a sponsor yet, but I just wanted to see what you thought, because I've had a hard time. Nobody in my family liked these. I love them.
Nobody in your family.
Nobody in my family liked them. Yes. So let's.
Okay. So you're giving me a vote, is what you're saying?
Yeah, I want to get you to give us a little a score.
So can you guys see this? This is a freeze dried orange. It looks like.
Yes, it is a dehydrated orange. It's got the rind on, which throws a lot of people off. I absolutely love it, but
it's like the new Orange Slice candy, It's good. So what I'm surprised is that the rind doesn't have that like bitter, oh my gosh, flavor.
Mm-hmm.
So somehow they've sucked that out a little bit.
Well, I think they added a lot of sugar to it, to be honest with you.
I think they're great. So,
they're wonderful, right?
I think so.
All right, what would you give it? Give it a score.
I would score it a 9.
A 9?
Yes.
All right.
Yes, because it's not overpowering. It's fruit, technically. I don't know how much sugar is in this thing.
A lot.
You know what? Actually, the calorie thing's not bad. So, something that I would like to leave your listeners with is that entrepreneurship for me is not a job. It's not something that I just do. It's my lifestyle. And when you frame it in the way that it's your lifestyle, you let yourself off the hook for things sometimes. I used to feel like, oh my gosh, I've got to balance work and I've got to balance home and I've got to balance parenting, and my kids are homeschooled, and so that's like a whole nother box. But this is my lifestyle as it flows, and this is absolutely what I've intentionally chosen as my lifestyle. And when you start framing it like, this is my lifestyle, and you don't have to go into all these other boxes like when you were in school and you had to be at the school from this time to this time. Like, you don't have to be at the office every day 8 to 4. Like, your lifestyle probably looks something like you have your quiet time in the morning, maybe some journaling, some meditation. Then I don't know if there's an exercise program or something along those lines.
Exercise, yep.
Yep, and then you're checking in with the team, and then you're doing these things.
Got some meetings, and then I do something for lunch that's for me and for helping to recharge me.
Somehow Jesse and the girls are involved in there, and that's all part of it. And so it's more like, design your lifestyle. What is it that you want your life to look like? Because we think that we have to bow down to all of these other things, because in many ways, it's because we have this scarcity mindset that
Lack.
if we don't do this, then this is going to go away.
Yes.
And it's really, I think that getting some help and some encouragement, like my goal with meeting with you and Chase was to start to show you what's possible, but also encourage you every step of the way. Like sometimes all we need to do is be encouraged. It's kind of like the trainer that meets you at the gym. You will go because you're paying them and they're waiting there calling you 15 times. Where are you? So, but sometimes we just need people to encourage us to do what's right. And I would just say that get around that. If you're around people that are taking your energy, that aren't encouraging you to be successful, that are encouraging you to do things that are not good for you, that might be good for them, like take some inventory into that.
Cut them off.
Well, definitely make some mindful decisions around that. Some people we can't cut off completely.
How much energy you give them and how much time.
Yes. And it's more about setting standards than it is about boundaries. Because I always felt like boundaries were me imposing my will on you. Like, don't cross this boundary. Like, you don't do that. Whereas this is my standard. If you want to hang out, like this is where we got to hit the standard. So anyway, hopefully that was helpful.
It was, and it's been an absolute pleasure. I love everything about your guys' business, your philosophy, your mindsets is inspirational, and I love you as people, and I appreciate you coming on.
Well, and I hope that you can see people do it imperfectly, but they still keep striving.
I love it. Thank you.
Thank you.